Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Hager?
Yes, this is Joe Hager.
Joe, is your father the one that makes clothes?
Yes, sir. We're all together.
You all made me some real lightweight slacks that he just made up on his own, sent to me 3 or 4 months ago. It's a kind of a light brown and a light green, rather soft green and soft brown.
Yes, sir.
And they're real lightweight. Now, I need about 6 pairs for summer wear.
Yes, sir.
I want a couple of, maybe 3 of the light brown, kind of a almost powder color, like powder on a lady's face. Then there were some green, and then maybe some other light pair. If you had a blue in that or black, I'd have 1 blue and 1 black. I need about 6 pairs to wear around in the evening when I come in from work. And I need, they're about a ½ inch too tight in the waist.
Do you recall the exact size? I just wanted to be sure we get them right for you.
No, I don't know. You all just guessed at them, I think, son, but wouldn't you have the measurements there?
We'll find them for you.
I can send you a pair. I want them a ½ inch larger in the waist than they were before, except I want 2 or 3 inches of stuff left back in there so I can take them up. I vary 10 to 15 pounds a month.
All right, sir.
So leave me at least 2.5, 3 inches in the back where I can let them out or take them up, and make these a ½ inch bigger in the waist. Make the pockets at least 1 inch longer. My money and my knife and everything fall out. Wait just a minute. Hello?
Hello.
Now, the pockets, when you sit down in the chair, the knife and your money comes out, so I needed at least another inch in the pockets.
Big time.
Yeah. Now, another thing, the crotch down where your nuts hang is always a little too tight. So when you make them up, give me an inch that I can let out there, because they cut me. They're just like riding a wire fence. These are the best that I've had anywhere in the United States. But when I gain a little weight, they cut me under there. So leave me, you never do have much margin there. Let's see if you can't leave me about 1 inch from where the zipper ends, round under my, back to my bunghole.
All right, sir.
So I can let it out there if I need to. Now, be sure you got the best zippers in them. These are good that I have. And if you get those to me, I would sure be grateful.
Where would you like to send, please?
White House.
Fine.
Now, I don't guess there's any chance of getting a very lightweight shirt, sport shirt, to go with that slack, is there? That same color?
We don't make them, but we can have them made up for you.
If you might look around, I wear about a 17. Extra long.
Do you like it in the same fabric?
Yeah, I sure would. I don't know whether that's too heavy for a shirt or not.
I think it'd be too heavy for a shirt.
I sure want the lightest I can in that same color of matching it. If you don't mind, you figure out somebody up there that makes good shirts and get me one to match each one of them, and if they're good, we'll order some more.
Fine.
I just sure will appreciate this. I need it more than anything, and now that's about it. I guess I could get a jacket made out of that if I wanted to, couldn't I?
No, I think that didn't Mr. J.M. Hager have a jacket made?
Yeah, he sent me some jackets for some earlier, but they were way too short. They hit me up about halfway down my belly. I had much longer waist. But I thought if they had material like that and somebody could make me a jacket, I'd send them a sample to copy from.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you will send us this, we'll get it, we'll find someone to make it.
Okay.
We can supply the material to match it.
Okay, I'll do that. Now, how do you give this boy the address, because I'm running for a funeral, and give him address just how to dress these trousers, so we'll send them to you. And don't you get the measurements out of them and add a ½ inch to the back, give us an inch to the pockets, and about an inch underneath so we can let them out.
In other words, you like just a little more stride in the crotch.
Yeah, that's right. I want you to build these at least a ½ inch more and then leave me some in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here he is.
Now that we have
escape onto the frozen lake. Many have passed this way before you. One step into your feet, angels are walking in. Maybe they'll shine a light around you.
Après la bataille. Mon père, ce héros au sourire si doux, suivi d'un seul housard qui les met entre tous pour sa grande bravoure et pour sa haute taille, parcourait à cheval le soir d'une bataille, le champ couvert de morts sur qui tombait la nuit. Il lui sembla dans l'ombre entendre un faible bruit. C'était un Espagnol de l'armée en déroute qui se traînait, sanglant sur le bord de la route, râlant, brisé, livide, et mort plus qu'à moitié, et qui disait « À boire par pitié !» Mon père, ému, tendit à son housard fidèle une gourde de rhum qui pendait à sa selle, et dit « Tiens, donne à boire à ce pauvre blessé. » Tout à coup, au moment où le housard baissé se penchait vers lui, l'homme, une espèce de mort, saisit un pistolet qui l'étreignait encore et vise au front mon père en criant « Caramba !» Le coup passa si près que le chapeau tomba et que le cheval fit un écart en arrière. « Donne-lui tout de même à boire, dit mon père.
Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé, balayé. Mes souvenirs, j'ai allumé le feu, mes chagrins, mes plaisirs, je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur trémolo, balayer pour toujours, je repars à zéro. Non, de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien. Car ma vie, car mes joies, aujourd'hui, ça commence avec toi.
It's really hard to see how ugly our way of life is when you're right in the middle of it. Right in the middle, everything's clean and colorful and it's filled with all sorts of nice things that you can buy. To get a real idea of how ugly it really is, you have to go to the ends and see how it eats and see what it shits out. I had the opportunity recently to visit the ass end of the beast that we call Western capitalism. This regional waste management system is a non-profit, municipally run entity, which means that it's far better than the privately owned waste management facilities that exist, because their mission statement is what drives them, dedication to the environment and all that, rather than cutting corners to make profits, which is extremely common in this industry. And they have to deal with everything. I mean, they ostensibly do recycling, but they also deal with all the toxic shit that can't be recycled. And they burn it to heat water, which creates steam and turns a turbine, which generates electricity. So, you know, we turn our trash into electricity. I was hoping to find out more about how great recycling was and how progressive my community was. But despite the focus being largely on recycling and diverting waste from the waste stream, the main thing that the folks here talk about is extending the life of landfills.
Extend the life of the ash fill.
The longevity of our landfills.
Landfills and ash fills are measured by airspace. Once you get to a certain airspace, you have to shut it down.
So how many years does it typically take to fill an ash fill?
25 or 30.
Landfills are not sustainable, and they know this. It's kind of the elephant in the room that it's not a perfect solution. I don't blame the folks who work here. I don't think that they're evil or trying to lie to me or cover something up. They're actually very candid and straightforward about how f***ed up things are. They're just trying to do the best that they can with a broken system. This plan of how to deal with our waste is not where the problem lies anyway. The problem lies in the way we live, the way we organize our economy.
So we'll start here at the back. This is the back end of the process. And so these are what we sell on the open market as the commodities. So you've got steel cans, aluminum, there are milk jugs over here, number 1 PET plastic, rigid plastic, which we don't accept in our program, but we get a ton of it, so we bale it and sell it for anywhere from $0 to $10 a ton. And then this is, we call this our garbage plastic. This is plastics 3 through 7. And that plus the rigid are exported to China exclusively. The rest of the material stays in the States, as well as some of it going to Canada. And we have our fiber, which is our cardboard and our newspaper. Some of the newspaper goes to China, some of the cardboard goes to Canada. It kind of depends on where the market is. Steel cans can be recycled indefinitely. So obviously it takes strain off the environment, natural resources, less oil to produce it once it's gone through recycling. Aluminum, same thing. Aluminum can be recycled forever, and that puts less stress on bauxite, which is mined. And there's a big bauxite mine in Jamaica, and they basically dig down about 20 feet, and once that bauxite is exhausted, they move to the next location, and so that's not going to last forever. Same thing with iron ore. I mean, you've all seen strip mines, with the mining and that sort of thing. Milk jugs over here, probably one of our highest price commodities. Probably get about $700 a ton for milk jugs. Number 1 PET plastic, it's probably between $400 and $500 a ton. Steel cans probably around $380 a ton. Aluminum, I think, was at some point it was around $800 a ton. This stuff is $0 to $10 a ton, and then the garbage plastic. I'm not sure what he gets for that. Maybe like $20 a ton, $30 a ton. The rigid plastics and the 3 through 7 plastics. When they go to China, they're made into toys, furniture, any kind of plastic stuff that we then buy back. Number 1 PET plastic, that gets turned into new plastic bottles. It also gets turned into fleece. Milk jugs, again, new bottles. They use that to make that plastic lumber, that like Terex stuff. They mix sawdust with it. Aluminum cans, it takes about 60 days for once it hits this to get back on the shelf. And that's how quickly they can recycle that into a new can. And steel cans, they go into making new cans, automobile parts, bikes, pretty much anything.
When they recycle the milk jugs into the flooring stuff,
yep.
Is that reclaimable after that, or does that make it pretty much unusable?
It's pretty much unusable after that. Yeah. And that's what, the same thing with the rigid plastic and the 3 through 7s. Once it's made into, let's say, a toy, it becomes non-recyclable at that point. So before the waste-to-energy plant was built, this building was here, and its job was to bale garbage with this baler and send it up to our landfill, which is now capped and closed. So the plant went online in 1988, and then 91 they started the recycling here. It's kind of overkill for recycling baling, but we reused it because it puts out a big, dense bale. So we store cardboard inside because if it gets wet, it's worthless. And then over here are number 2 colored plastic. And you can see on the ground why we store it inside. If it was outside, all of that laundry detergent, oil, what have you, would go into the groundwater. So we keep it inside and keep it clean with Speedy Dry. This material here, this is what we would call bypass from the recycling program. And what we do with that is we'll either bale it or we'll just convey it down to the waste-to-energy plant and it becomes, it gets turned into electricity.
The whole time that we toured the recycling facility, we looked at all sorts of machines that help to mechanically separate the recyclable out of the non-recyclable. But what kept lingering in my mind is that most of this shit that we think is recyclable isn't. And what gets recycled only gets recycled maybe once, and then it becomes toxic waste. Plus, there's so many products that have been commingled with other products that are unrelated that it's nearly impossible to separate them again into usable products. Juice boxes are a great example of this. They have paper that's wrapped in metal foil, which is wrapped in plastic, and then heat sealed together. That's 3 completely different products, all combined into an unusable turd. If you're familiar with the concept of entropy, where everything in the universe goes from being ordered and slowly decays into messy disorder, it becomes clear that the stupidity of our product design is rapidly accelerating entropy for every resource on this planet. All of this stuff comes from somewhere. A mine in Jamaica, an oil derrick in the middle of the Gulf, a rainforest in Indonesia. And then we mash it together in such a way that it becomes a piece of potentially toxic waste that can never be used again for anything. In the crane room, we can see the garbage collected from our area for just that day. They burn more than what you see here every week. The region this plant serves has about 500,000 people in it, and there's currently 311 million people in the United States, so multiply what you see here by 622. And then because they burn many times over what you see here every week, multiply that by like 5. The vastness of the expanse of refuse before me in this room was so overwhelming. It was like staring into a Grand Canyon. A Grand Canyon of shit. Our society's shit. This is like the colon of our market system. The burner is down a chute that's behind a cement wall, but the heat from the furnace still manages to make its way through, heating up the garbage into a warm, fetid soup, causing a powerful aroma of human refuse stronger than you can imagine. It even creeps up through the sealed glass windows of the crane operator's room. I try to imagine what it would be like to have this job, to be staring into the ass end of capitalism all day. What would you think about our society? You probably wouldn't. You'd probably just think about how many hours are left till you get to take your lunch break, and then after that you'd probably just think about how many hours are left on the clock till you get to go home and spend time with your kids and watch your shows on TV. This is the furnace. We get a chance to look at the flame that converts the trash we can't recycle from stuff into totally useless toxic sludge. Yay. Ultimately, though, this stuff still ends up in a landfill. It's just smaller because, well, when you burn stuff, it gets smaller. These landfills can be hundreds of acres, and they get filled up in, 30 to 40 years. We can only do that so many times. Eventually gonna run out of places to put all of this shit this ash that's filled with cadmium and lead and mercury and all sorts of heavy metals. Now, the tour guide assured us that at this point it was considered non-toxic, but I think the key word there is considered. It's just legally considered to be non-toxic, which of course, legality has very little bearing on science. Now, things don't have to be this way. If we as a society wanted to, we could design things so that they could be taken apart. This kind of all goes back to the comment I made in my last video, capitalism, in which I talk about how capitalism is not an economic system. Systems are like webs, or they're completed cycles. Capitalism is a straight line. We pull shit out of the earth that's usable, we use it, we ruin it, we burn it, we stick it back in the ground in a completely different chemical form that's completely unusable. Our society is literally eating the entire planet and turning it into toxic shit.
That's all.